rolling VIP. What? Rolling VIP.
Hollywood. I've been drinking all night.
That's right, just get it, let you feel it, make you lose control.
How did he propose? Can I ask that, or is that too much? Am I being nosy?
I proposed.
You proposed? Really? And did he say yes right away?
Not right away.
No?
What if the man everyone called K-Fed was actually the unsung hero in one of Hollywood's most twisted fairy tales? And what if 20 years later, he's finally apologizing to the woman he betrayed for Britney Spears? Here's something that'll blow your mind. Kevin Federline might be the only man in America who got $20,000 a month in child support from his ex-wife. But wait until you hear the second shocking revelation. The night before marrying Britney, she made a phone call to Justin Timberlake that should have sent Kevin running. We're getting to both of these bombshells, trust me. Kevin Federline's story isn't what you think it is. This isn't about some backup dancer who got lucky. This is about a guy from Fresno who went from delivering pizzas to dancing for Michael Jackson, from betraying his pregnant fiancée to becoming public enemy #1, and somehow came out the other side with full custody of his kids and a story nobody's ever heard properly. The story begins in Fresno, California, where Kevin Federline was born into a working-class family. His parents split when he was young, and his mom moved to Oregon while he stayed in California. By 9th grade, Kevin had had enough of traditional education. He dropped out of high school, not because he was failing, but because the teachers couldn't keep him interested.
I started doing homeschool, and then, it just wasn't really, I don't know, I wasn't interested. The teachers at that time for me weren't keeping me interested in it.
His mind was elsewhere, and that elsewhere turned out to be the dance floor. While other kids his age were sitting in algebra class, 13-year-old Kevin discovered hip-hop dancing.
I started dancing, I danced a little bit like hip-hop dancing from the time I was like 13 to 15.
He wasn't into the crazy windmills or headspins that breakdancers were doing. Instead, he focused on popping, staying on his feet, developing his own style that would eventually catch the attention of the biggest names in music. For a couple of years, he danced, he practiced, but then he fell out of it, hanging with the wrong crowd, getting into trouble like teenagers do.
I got back with him, and we went to this nonprofit organization called Dance Empowerment. They were like bringing kids off the street and teaching them how to dance, and the guy that ran it was a good friend of mine that I was dancing with when I was younger.
By the time Kevin turned 19, he was stuck in Fresno, delivering pizzas, working car washes, detailing RVs in that brutal 115-degree heat that makes the Central Valley feel like an oven.
Because I felt like when I came out here, I was only out here for once I decided to actually make the move, I was only here for 4 or 5 days, and I was on tour.
He'd given up on dancing, resigned himself to a life of dead-end jobs. Then his childhood friend, Jimmy Federico, showed up, and everything changed. Jimmy had stuck with dancing, while Kevin had quit. And now Jimmy was good, really good. He had an agent in LA, he just booked Christina Aguilera's Genie in a Bottle video, and he was making real money. Jimmy looked at Kevin and offered him $1,000 and 5 words that would change his life. Quit your job, let's go. Kevin gave his 2 weeks notice at the pizza place, lasted about 4 days, then said forget it, and headed to Los Angeles. Within 4 days of arriving in LA, Kevin booked his first major tour with the boy band LFO. 4 days from pizza delivery to touring America. That's how fast his life transformed.
Everything, all of my energy into this. I love it. It was my passion, it was my drive, it was everything. If anything was wrong at any time, I could go into a dance studio and I could start freestyling and I forget about everything. It was my release.
The tour with LFO was perfect for Kevin's first time on the road. He'd never been outside California except for Nevada and Oregon. So traveling the country, performing every night, making more money than he'd ever seen, it was everything. When Kevin came back from that tour, he was a different person. He'd found his passion, his drive, his everything. If anything went wrong in his life, he could walk into a dance studio, start freestyling, and forget about everything else.
Better, I learned everybody's styles, and I was going to auditions, and I started booking stuff without having an audition, and get to this point where you're working with like Pink, and seeing Justin, Genuine, Usher, Destiny's Child, Michael Jackson.
Soon, the bookings started rolling in. Kevin learned everybody's styles, absorbed everything like a sponge. He went from having to audition to getting calls directly. Pink hired him for her tour, where he met Marty Kudelka, who would become one of his best friends, and his connection to even bigger opportunities. While on Pink's tour, Marty started choreographing for the group, and Kevin learned Marty's style inside and out.
On the set, we We sat out at that Universal Studios lot for like 2 weeks trying to get one video done, you know, and back then they were turning videos around in 2 days.
But the pinnacle of Kevin's dance career came in 2001 when he got hired for Michael Jackson's Rock My World video. The video shoot at Universal Studios lasted 2 weeks for what other artists were cranking out in 2 days.
We sat out at that Universal Studios lot for like 2 weeks trying to get one video done, you know, and back then they were turning videos around in 2 days.
Kevin remembers the first rehearsal vividly. They practiced for a week before Michael even showed up, and when he did, you could feel his presence before you saw him. The entire room went silent. Everyone shook Michael's hand, and then Michael said 3 words, "Let me see it."
No music, click track. I'm just like, dude, come on. How hard can it get, you know? You're just like nervous as shit. Probably one of the most nerve-wracking things in my life. And I was the one that like messed up the first time too.
Michael didn't even need to look up. He heard Kevin mess up and gave him this look that said everything. But between takes, Michael was a completely different person. He and Marlon Brando would drive around on golf carts pretending to run people over. And Michael would hide behind equipment with squirt guns shooting water at actors trying to film their scenes.
When we were on set and we were getting ready to dance, you know, Michael has like some squirt gun or something, and he's like hiding behind stuff, and people like, you didn't know it was him, and people are like trying to act out their scenes, and he's squirting them in the face with water and stuff.
Kevin saw both sides of the king of pop, the playful kid and the perfectionist performer. During this same period in 2001, Kevin met Shar Jackson.
I met Shar like, I can't remember, it was like before I did Michael maybe.
She was an actress best known for her role on Moesha.
What's up, Shawshank? I thought you was doing 5 to 10. Girl, please, they haven't built the stepmother that can keep me on lockdown.
And they hit it off immediately. Their relationship moved fast. By 2002, they welcomed their first child together, daughter Corey, when Kevin was 23 years old. He wasn't worried about being a young father because his own parents had him young, and he knew who he was and how he'd be as a dad.
Upbringing from my parents, you know, so I've known who I was and how I'd be as a father before I was ever a father. I knew that if I had a child when I was younger, that I would be okay.
The entertainment industry money was good. Residuals from commercials, SAG jobs, all of it adding up to a comfortable living.
Entertainment industry, you know, you're getting residuals all over the place for SAG jobs, movies that you've done, commercials. So even when work's not steady, you're still bringing in good money.
In 2004, Shar was pregnant with their second child, Caleb Michael Jackson Federline. The middle name was after Kevin's father, Michael, not the king of pop, though the coincidence wasn't lost on anyone when Shar kept her last name Jackson. Everything seemed perfect. Kevin had a successful dance career, a beautiful fiancée, a daughter, and another baby on the way. Then came 2004, and everything changed. While Shar was pregnant with Caleb, Kevin met Britney Spears at a club through mutual friends.
Friend Teresa, as everybody knows now. Yeah, I mean, I showed up at the club and was strutting my stuff, so to speak.
At this point, Britney wasn't just famous, she was the biggest star in the world. The prototype for modern celebrity where reality TV met superstardom, met paparazzi culture. She was Rihanna, the Kardashians, and Taylor Swift all rolled into one. Here's where Kevin's new memoir finally reveals the truth 20 years later. In You Thought You Knew, Kevin admits he handled the breakup with Shar poorly. He wasn't honest or direct. Instead of telling her the truth about his growing feelings for Britney, he lied and said he'd booked a commercial shooting overseas. In reality, he was joining Britney in Europe for her Onyx hotel tour. Kevin writes in his memoir, "I knew the truth would hurt her, and I didn't want that. If I could go back in time, I'd handle that whole thing differently. But life doesn't work like that. We fuck up and we learn." Eventually, Kevin called Shar to come clean, telling her he'd been secretly hooking up with Britney and was starting to fall in love with the pop star. He could hear the heartbreak in Shar's voice, the pain he'd caused. She was angry, but underneath the anger was something deeper, a sadness he couldn't undo. Kevin also apologizes directly to his children with Shar in the memoir, writing to Corey and Caleb, "I wasn't the man I needed to be. I wasn't the man I wanted to be. And for that, I am truly sorry." He acknowledges that while he told Shar he wasn't walking away from their kids, none of that changed the fact that he failed her. The memoir also reveals that Caleb recently made Kevin a grandfather. A shock at first, but Kevin says he's proud of how his son is stepping into fatherhood. Within 3 months of meeting Britney, she proposed to Kevin. He said no at first, but then had a change of heart. By Christmas 2004, Britney was pregnant with their first child. But here's where the story takes its darkest turn. The night before their wedding, Kevin found Britney crying on the phone.
Night before our wedding, we're at the Fairmont in Santa Monica in one of the bungalows, and I was like, what's wrong? I thought she was talking to her mom on the phone or something, and maybe she was like having doubts, and she told me that she was on the phone with Justin.
Kevin immediately told her they didn't have to get married, that he didn't care either way. But Britney insisted she was just closing a chapter, saying her final goodbye to Justin. Kevin, young and madly in love, took her explanation at face value. Looking back now, he calls it a hell of a red flag that he should have seen coming. He was 26, she was 23, and they were both too young to see what was really happening. They got married anyway, and Preston was born in September 2005. Less than a year later, in September 2006, Jaden arrived. Kevin calls it back-to-backing them. 2 kids in less than 2 years while living in the absolute epicenter of the paparazzi hurricane. The paparazzi situation was unlike anything anyone had experienced before or since. 20 cars would camp outside their gated Malibu community every single day. When Kevin and Britney left the house, all 20 cars would follow them in a caravan. Each car had 2 to 4 photographers, so you're talking about potentially 80 people following their every move. But Kevin never lost his cool with them. He talked to them, got to know them personally, established a mutual respect. Some of those photographers built entire companies off the photos they took of Kevin and Britney during those 2 years, and they still thank him today for being cool about it.
I get with them on a personal level, some of them, you know. Especially like because there were so many guys. I mean, there's still guys that I talk to every now and then. I'll see him around and I'll talk to him.
During this chaos, Kevin tried to launch a music career. His friend, the late producer Disco D, stayed with them in Malibu while they worked on Kevin's album. Disco D told Kevin something prophetic in 2005. Keep doing this music, but you need to start DJing.
You know what he told me back then? 2005, maybe the second day that I ever was hung out with him, we were in the studio. He looked at me and he was like, hey, you keep doing this music shit, but you need to start DJing.
Kevin didn't listen then, something he regrets now, especially after Disco D's tragic self-unaliving. The marriage lasted just 2 years. In November 2006, Britney filed for divorce. Kevin says all he wanted was 50-50 custody of their boys, nothing more.
The only thing that I told him that all I care about is getting 50% custody of my sons.
But events unfolded that changed everything. Kevin won't spell out the details, telling people to Google it if they want to know, but the custody arrangement that resulted was unprecedented in Hollywood history. Kevin ended up with sole custody of Preston and Jaden, and here's the first shocking secret. He was awarded $20,000 a month in child support. This made him possibly the only man in America receiving that level of child support from his ex-wife. Single fathers everywhere saw him as a hero, living proof that the system could work for fathers too. But Kevin doesn't brag about it. He says it wasn't something he asked for. It was about maintaining the lifestyle the children were accustomed to. During this period, Kevin basically became a full-time father. He put his music career on hold, stopped performing, and focused entirely on raising his kids the right way. The only exception was when he did Celebrity Fit Club because he'd ballooned up to 245 pounds after the divorce. His metabolism had slowed down when he hit 30, and he was eating entire pizzas at 11 at night. The show helped him lose the weight, though he admits he probably wouldn't do reality TV again. As the years passed, things slowly normalized between Kevin and Britney. By the time Preston and Jaden were 9 and 10, Kevin and Britney were cordial. Kevin married Victoria Prince in 2013, had 2 more children with her, and Victoria was cool with Britney. They'd all hang out at the kids' games together. Everything seemed to be working out.
You know, we talk, we hang out at the games. Wife is cool with her. Everybody, you know,
And your kids with Britney are how old now?
9 and 10.
3 years ago, Kevin finally took Disco D's advice about DJing. Big Boy and E-Man from Power 106 pushed him into it, and his friend DJ Profit, who'd been spinning since vinyl days, taught him everything. Kevin fell in love with it instantly, finding the same passion he had for dancing years earlier.
Been doing it since vinyl.
Right.
And it was instant. You know, it was like, all right, I found something that I really love to do, like as much as I did dancing or as much as I do rapping.
Now he has a residency at Crazy Horse 3 in Vegas, reportedly making $10,000 a night, according to Daily Mail, though Kevin won't confirm exact numbers. Fast forward to 2025, and Kevin's living in Hawaii with Victoria and their 6 kids total, 2 with Shar, 2 with Britney, and 2 with Victoria. He's just released his memoir, You Thought You Knew, where he's finally addressing everything that happened 20 years ago. In an October 2024 interview with Us Weekly, Kevin revealed that he and Shar are in a great place now. "Me and Shar are good. We're great. That happened so long ago, and I've apologized to her, and all of that stuff has taken place a long time ago. I just felt that it was an important piece to put in the book." Kevin says he has nothing but respect for both Shar and Brittany, adding that there's no ill will to anybody in this situation. Everything he's done and is doing is all out of love and respect for their families and children. Both women gave him 4 of the greatest pieces of his life, his children. But Kevin's also genuinely terrified about Brittany's current state. Preston and Jaden are now adults, and according to Kevin, they don't know the woman he married.
I'm really worried. I'm absolutely, as a father, terrified that one day I might wake up and my sons are gonna have to deal with the unimaginable.
The Brittany from back then and the Brittany now are completely different people. Kevin claims what's happening now with Brittany is 10 times worse than anything he's written in his book.
Everything in my book that I talk about, what's going on now, and I'm not gonna get into details because I'm not gonna just expose her personal life, but it's 10 times worse than anything that I've said in my book.
His biggest fear is waking up one day and his sons having to deal with the unimaginable. He's trying to sound the alarm, hoping someone can help their mother get the help she believes she needs. He prays every day that she'll realize she has 2 sons desperately wanting a relationship with her. He says his sons are screaming for a life with their mother, the same life they have with the rest of their family. Brittany's camp immediately fired back at Kevin's book announcement, accusing him of profiting off her now that the $20,000 monthly child support has ended since both boys are over 18. They claim all Brittany cares about are her kids, but Kevin insists this isn't about money and never has been. He says he waited until his children were old enough to understand why he's telling his story and that everything he's ever done has been for his family's benefit. Today, Kevin Federline's net worth sits at an estimated $6 million. He's creating music specifically for strip clubs, planning a tour of major city strip clubs, and maintaining his Vegas DJ residency. He continues to keep all 6 of his children away from the entertainment industry as much as possible, having turned down numerous reality show offers that would have featured his kids. A man who started as a high school dropout delivering pizzas in Fresno has transformed into a father of 6, a grandfather, a successful DJ, and perhaps most surprisingly, the stable parent in one of Hollywood's most chaotic stories. He danced for Michael Jackson, betrayed his pregnant fiancée, married the world's biggest pop star, survived the paparazzi apocalypse, won an unprecedented custody battle, and somehow came out the other side with his sanity intact. 20 years later, Kevin Federline is finally owning his mistakes, apologizing to the woman he wronged, and trying to protect the sons he shares with Brittany. The backup dancer everyone called K-Fed and treated as a punchline might just be the unsung hero of the story after all. Or maybe he's exactly what people always said he was. Either way, Kevin Federline isn't running from his past anymore. He's confronting it head-on, apologizing where he needs to, and hoping that somewhere, somehow, the woman he once loved finds her way back to their sons before it's too late.